On January 24, 2023, in the quiet suburb of Duxbury, Massachusetts, a 32-year-old labor and delivery nurse named Lindsay Clancy strangled her 3 young children and jumped from a second-story window. She survived the fall, but sustained injuries to her spine that left her permanently paralyzed from the waist down. In most murder trials, the primary question is who committed the act, but here the defense fully stipulates that Lindsay killed her children. There is no mystery of identity. Instead, the entire focus has shifted to the internal state of her mind. Massachusetts criminal responsibility law rests on 2 pillars. First, did Lindsay lack capacity to understand her actions were wrong due to mental disease? Second, even if she knew it was wrong, did she lack the ability to control her actions? Because the physical facts are undisputed, the trial has become a battle over where the legal line is drawn between a calculated crime and a catastrophic psychiatric break. Before the tragedy, those closest to the family saw a doting, attentive mother. Testimonies from preschool teachers, the nanny, and friends painted a picture of a woman deeply engaged in her children's lives. But Lindsay's private journals, entered as evidence, provide the most direct window into her internal reality, and they have become the central battleground of the case. The prosecution interprets these writings as evidence of motive. They point to entries where she wrote about being desperate to get a mental break and drowning every day, using them as proof of a mother who felt trapped and wanted a permanent way out of her life. The defense focuses on those same journals to build a different narrative. They argue her descriptions of crazy brain fog and a disconnection from her baby show a woman meticulously documenting her own cognitive decline. These conflicting arguments show that written evidence is malleable. Without the author there to explain her intent, the jury must decide which of these 2 opposing realities to believe. In the months leading up to the events of January 24th, Lindsay made repeated attempts to get help. She called suicide hotlines and voluntarily admitted herself to a psychiatric unit at McLean Hospital just weeks before the children died. Her medical history reveals she was prescribed a heavy cocktail of central nervous system depressants. The defense argues this aggressive medication cascade triggered postpartum psychosis, a severe condition that caused her to lose touch with reality. Prosecutors counter that the drug levels in her system were therapeutic, not toxic. They rely on the family's pediatrician, who testified that during a checkup that same day, Lindsay appeared appropriate, receptive, and fully present. To prove premeditation, the prosecution detailed Lindsay's actions on the day of the crime. She sent her husband to a CVS and a takeout restaurant, calculating exact return times to ensure she was left alone. They argue this timeline, paired with allegedly superficial cuts to her wrists, shows she deliberately created a window of opportunity. The defense points to her physical reality as a rebuttal. They emphasize that she went into cardiac arrest at the hospital and suffered a broken spine. Injuries, they argue, prove she truly intended to die during a violent, uncontrollable psychotic break. The jury is left with an irreconcilable conflict, weighing the cold, digital logic of a mapped-out timeline against the horrific physical evidence of a family's destruction. This trial places an immense burden on the jury. They must weigh the legal evidence while watching a paralyzed defendant openly weep as the medical examiner details the autopsy of her own baby. While exceedingly rare, cases of mothers killing their children resonate deeply in the public consciousness. This trial joins a small, dark list of names like Andrea Yates, cases that force society to confront the most extreme outcomes of maternal mental illness. The testimony reveals a sharp dissonance. A mother described by her nanny as wonderful and doting was in her own journals describing a crazy brain fog she could not escape. It forces a confrontation with the reality that a parent can appear to meet every societal standard while quietly experiencing a profound psychiatric crisis. Regardless of the verdict, this trial serves as a warning. It highlights the lethal potential of postpartum psychosis and the necessity of intervening immediately when mothers ask for help. Preventing the next tragedy depends on the conversation this trial has started. If you or someone you know is in crisis, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available at 988, and the National Maternal Mental Health Hotline can be reached at 1-833-TLC-MAMA.